is that time again to do another section of the TransAmerica Trail. And on these two sections, we were definitely not disappointed. Eventually, we want to do coast to coast. So the first move was to finish off the East Coast by going from West Virginia, heading east, and using the Atlantic Spur section to connect all the way down to Nags Head Island. On this section, we're bringing along Nathan Straub, one of our good buddies who owns the company Decisive Action. What are your expectations for the trip?
I just want to see some beautiful trails and scenery, being out in nature. Never done winter camping before, so that should be pretty interesting. Test out all the cold weather gear. But yeah, just along for the ride and having some fun. So don't really know what to expect along for the ride with Jeremiah and trusting his overlanding expertise.
Oh God. We're also really wanting to try out this gas bag from Giant Loop and see how it performs. This is the 2-gallon. They also make up to a 5-gallon, which the day we left arrived in the mail. But so far it's easy to fill and the gas cap stays on pretty tight. So we are starting the TransAmerica Trail in Ripley, West Virginia. Two things about this one is I like doing the TransAmerica Trail during the winter time because you can see further, but the issues with that is there are a lot of seasonal trail closures, hopefully not this time. And the other thing is I am pulling a trailer now with the Gladiator and I haven't done that on snow yet, so hopefully we won't find any snow in the Forestry Trail passes. So here we go. Right at South Ripley, we hit coarse gravel, so it was time to air down for the rest of the trip. Most of the way across West Virginia isn't really exciting. It's a mix between good and bad pavement, gravel, unmaintained county roads, but there's nothing too extensive about this. The scenery pretty much repeats itself. Gravel, paved, small town, paved, gravel, so on and so on. About 3:30 until we really started getting towards the mountains on the eastern side of West Virginia. When we hit the Williams River Valley, that's when the trip changed. We will come back to this specific section of this trail because of all the amazing camp spots that line it, but are closed due to the season. It was at about this time that Nathan and I realized we only had passed about 6 vehicles the whole day, and we didn't see a single soul in this whole area. This is also the area where we started hitting snow and ice due to elevation. We finally found an open campground at the north part of the river, so we went into setup mode. Straub would be camping underneath the awning in his ground tent, and he got to use our new Zarges case as his equipment footlocker. That evening, we enjoyed some of our favorite country boy beers, had a mountain house meal, and went to bed pretty early. much like we thought, the seasonal closures haven't happened so far on the trails, just on the campgrounds. We found the last remaining open campground that had no closed signs and all still had envelopes to pay for the camp spots. Now we are heading on for day 2. Heading east over the Appalachian Mountains from here is where we hit all of the mountain passes. Immediately there was snow and thick ice where it had been packed down from the few vehicles that had passed through this area recently. After a slow and puckering crossing of that first mountain, we headed down the other side to head to my first drop pin for a diner that I wanted to try out. If you get a chance, stop by Dory's Restaurant and Lounge in Marlington, West Virginia. Their homemade country fried steak and biscuits were some of the best I've ever had. Just on the other side of Marlington would be the tallest in elevation and most ice-covered mountain pass of the trip. Also the sketchiest because a lot of the switchbacks had pure ice on the corners. Other than a few gaps, the mountaintop was complete cloud cover. But soon realized all the way into Virginia it would be like this. The valleys were equally as beautiful as the mountaintops. You would skirt 10-15 miles down a valley, then weave up and over the next mountain pass. So we just turned onto the Atlantic Spur section of the TransAmerica Trail. We finished the West Virginia TransAmerica Trail in about a day and a half. It's 1:55. We started at 8:30 a.m. this morning. Already the mountains are looking different, not as big. We have, I think, 3 small mountain crossings, and then we'll start heading southeast to Nags Head Island. Time to give the gas bag a go. We first tried to use it without the spout. That didn't go so well. But slap on that spout, it's super easy to use. Since while emptying the bag just collapses on itself, it doesn't need a ventilation port, and it empties quick. Put the cap back on, roll it up, and just strap it to the bed. For the rest of this day we had decent weather, intermittent sun, and awesome trails. The second night's camp spot was easy to find. We pulled just a short distance of a forestry trail, set camp. We have a ton of miles just to get to the coast, so day 3 started early. And it started with some delicious bougie coffee. Nothing like a fancy pour-over coffee to start your morning. On the way over the last pass, we had just a little bit of snow before we hit the Virginia foothills. We even got to see a backwoods correctional facility. From the mountains all the way to the coast, it's pretty boring and redundant back roads. Even the website says the second half is worth the ride, just hang in there. The back roads and countryside are beautiful, and the rest is all pavement, but that's the price you pay for living in a densely populated area near the coast. But when you start hitting all the bridges that connect all the chain islands all the way out to the coast, it is gorgeous. We got there a day and a half after leaving the Virginia mountains. This is one part of the trail that I wish was in the summertime. It was beautiful, but extremely windy and cold. We made it down here in 4 days. It was an awesome trip, lots of back roads, and we were down at Nags Head Island. One more night at a hip camp, then we headed back towards Kentucky. Our Gaia map said we do around 700 miles of trail. It took 4 days, 56,132 feet of total ascent, 0 trails closed, just a bunch of campgrounds closed, and only about a dozen cars passed until we hit the Virginia lowlands. Please hit that subscribe button and follow along with us. The next section that we're going to tackle is Tennessee heading west.